Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to pull back the curtain on a story that's unfolding right now in the tech world. It's all about the AI boom and a surprising and potentially expensive side effect it could have for, well, all of us.
So yeah, what if that AI revolution is about to make your next phone, your next laptop, way more expensive? Because this AI gold rush, it's having this massive unintended ripple effect. And it's going to hit everything from your phone to the servers powering the internet. And the reason? It all comes down to one of the most basic parts of any computer, memory. And we're not talking about some small blip on the radar. No, experts are forecasting a major global shortage of something called DRAM. Now you can think of DRAM as the short-term brain power for pretty much every digital device you own. And this isn't just another supply chain headache we've gotten used to. This is different. This is a fundamental shift. So, what's causing all this? Well, to really get what's going on, you have to understand AI's incredible, almost unbelievable appetite for memory.
Right, so the engine powering this whole AI revolution, it isn't your standard everyday computer memory. It's this super specialized high-performance stuff called high bandwidth memory, HBM for short. The best way to think about it? Imagine a skyscraper made of memory chips, all stacked vertically. This creates this incredibly wide, super fast data highway that's just perfect for the kind of heavy-duty number crunching that AI models have to do.
And when I say heavy-duty, I mean it. The scale here is just wild. Take a single NVIDIA H100 chip, the workhorse of today's AI. That one chip needs a massive 80 gigabytes of the special HBM. And it's not stopping there, not even close. The next generation is already blowing that out of the water. AMD's new MI300X accelerator? That thing is packed with 192 gigabytes of HBM. The demand is just skyrocketing.
And you want to know where this is all going? Just look at the horizon. The next-gen chips, like the rumored B200, they're expected to need a jaw-dropping 288 gigabytes of HBM each. These numbers are just becoming astronomical.
Okay, let's try to put this in perspective because it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. There's this one rumored AI project, OpenAI's Stargate supercomputer. Well, that single project, just one, could end up needing 40% of the entire planet's capacity to produce this memory. 40% for one project. That's insane.
So that's the demand side. But why does making more of this special AI memory mean there's less for everyone else's devices? It all boils down to something that insiders are calling the HBM cannibal effect.
And here's the thing. It all comes down to a basic conflict on the factory floor. You see, both standard memory and this fancy HBM, they both start out as the same raw material, these big silicon wafers. But from that starting point, their manufacturing journey is completely different. And this chart really lays out the problem. First off, to get the same amount of memory, HBM eats up to 3 times more of that raw silicon wafer. It's just bigger. And on top of that, it's way harder to make. The success rate, what they call yield, is pretty low. Maybe only 50 to 60% of the HBM chips they make are actually good enough to use. Compare that to standard memory, where it's over 90%. So you need more material, and you have more failures.
I mean, you can see it right here. To get 1 gigabit of memory, HBM just gobbles up so much more of that foundational wafer material. It is, by its very nature, a total resource hog.
And that is the cannibal effect in a nutshell. Every single silicon wafer, every new factory line that gets dedicated to making this super profitable HBM, that's a wafer that can no longer be used to make the normal memory that goes into our phones, our laptops, our cars, everything.
Okay. So this resource tug-of-war isn't happening in a vacuum. Oh no, it's crashing right into a bunch of other industry headaches, creating what you could only describe as a perfect storm.
For starters, the whole industry has been trying to switch from older memory, called DDR4, to the new stuff, DDR5. But that switch has been way slower and messier than anyone planned. And to make things worse, a lot of people still want the old DDR4. So that demand has stayed surprisingly high, which ties up even more of that limited factory space.
It's gotten so crazy that it's created these really weird situations in the market. We've actually seen times where companies were so desperate for any memory at all that this panic buying drove the price of the old, slow DDR4 memory higher than the price of the new, faster DDR5. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense, right? But it just goes to show you how much pressure the whole system is under.
And it's not just about what's happening inside the factories. There are bigger forces at play: global economics, supply chain risks, and they're all making the shortage worse. And really, if you want to know why, all you have to do is follow the money.
And here it is. HBM is just wildly profitable. I mean, it's completely off the charts. Look at its share of the total money made in the memory market. It went from just over 2% in 2022 to a projected 20% this year. That is absolutely explosive, market-bending growth.
So put yourself in the shoes of a manufacturer, like SK Hynix or Samsung. The choice is a no-brainer, right? You're going to pour your money and your resources into the super profitable AI market. It's just good business. But that very logical decision is what's directly squeezing the supply of regular memory for the rest of us.
And if that wasn't enough, the whole supply chain for this stuff is incredibly fragile. I mean, it's super vulnerable to geopolitical drama, it depends on just a few countries for critical raw materials, and there's always the risk of shortages of essential gases like neon, a lot of which used to come from Ukraine. It's a house of cards.
Okay, so what does this all mean for businesses? And more importantly, for us? How are we supposed to deal with this new reality?
I think the most important thing to get is this. This is not a temporary problem. It's not a little hiccup that's just going to fix itself in a few months. The crazy demand from AI is causing a permanent, structural shift in the entire memory market. The old rules, they just don't apply anymore. So for businesses, and let's be real, that's pretty much every business, experts are giving some clear advice. First, diversify your suppliers. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Second, get off the old DDR4 tech as fast as you can. And third, you really need to take a long, hard look at your own supply chains and figure out where your weak spots are.
So in the end, we're left with a fundamental trade-off. The AI revolution, it promises these incredible world-changing advances. But as we've seen, it has a hidden cost. It's making the technology we all depend on every single day more scarce and more expensive. It really leaves us with a question to think about. As one technology booms, what are we, as a society, willing to sacrifice?